Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I am Iris J, and I am making this short-ish update on the Aries full moon. I said that I would make a second part because I didn't even talk about Venus in the first video that I uploaded on the Aries full moon, and that is really all about the aspects. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the moon in general and how we can work with it, because we're in it. I'm uploading this on the day of the full moon, so of course it's October 17th. It is happening right around 7:25 a.m. That's Eastern time. And we're in it. There is so much out there on Pluto and Mars, understandably. It is a big deal. There's also a lot out there on these energies, and I keep seeing some people saying, I feel great. And of course you might feel great. How astrology impacts us personally always depends upon our own chart. That said, there is a mighty conversation going on in the transiting astrology right now, and that again is a grand cross that's happening. We have our full moon in Aries at 24 degrees. We have our sun in Libra at 24 degrees, and then we have Cancer, Mars, 22 degrees, and then in Capricorn, we have Pluto, who's at 29 degrees. And this is such a big moment. It's such a big moment. And part of the way that I would really invite you to work with this energy, this day, this Grand Cross continues. It brings us into the weekend. Through the weekend, we have Mars approaching more and more towards that final degree of Cancer, meaning that it's building with the opposition of Pluto. We have the sun coming into its exact square with Pluto, which happens next week. So this energy that we're in is going to be lasting and carrying us into next week and ultimately into the Scorpio new moon, which is going to bring November upon us. How is this happening? Time keeps going. And yet, part of the reason this is such a mighty time is because it is, this Grand Cross full moon with Pluto finishing out its journey in Capricorn. And there is a final shedding. We are in the last month, pretty much, of Pluto in Capricorn. And so this full moon really could be illuminating a change in our life, something that's coming to fruition, something that is showing us what we're really ready to move forward with. This is Aries. Aries is our primal fires, and yet Mars and Scorpio are so important in working with this energy. So Mars rules Aries, and that Mars is in Cancer. And I really invite you to feel into how you can be as nurturing to yourself as possible during this full moon, through the weekend. Really, that might just be something we want to bring into our daily life, but let's just start with right now. And this is what we are working with Mars and Cancer for months, so we don't need to figure it all out right now. It might be very new to think of nurturing oneself, and there's all different layers of that nurturing. Some of us kind of have those one-off things where maybe we take care of ourselves and we get a massage, or maybe our body has said, you must get a massage because I cannot keep going unless you do that, right? And there's those one-offs. This is more about the daily rhythm of life. This is more about, Mars wants to be our active desire. It wants to be how we have yang energy carrying us through our life. And right now, during this moment, there's something about that energy being directed towards what it means to take care of our emotions, what it means to be actively aware of our emotions, what it means to actively surrender in a way that is the drive. It's not about just resting because I'm exhausted. It's not about resting as something that is secondary in life. It's not about taking time and exploring emotions or writing poetry or making art or any of those kind of flowing things just because it's a one-off and I do that and then I go back to my real work and my real time. this is about re-understanding what real work is and real drive, because Mars in Cancer has so many important lessons, and those lessons of care and nurture, care for ourselves and for others, want to be illuminating what we're entering into in this next phase of our life, how we're shedding what we're shedding, how we're moving forward. And there is a need to move gently. There's a need to co-create. And that's what this energy is inviting us into. And who rules our sun in Libra? Venus. And Venus is in a very particular position for this full moon. So when the full moon happens, she is at the 29th degree of Scorpio, and she will stay there for several hours. And then later on the 17th, she will move into Sagittarius. And during this full moon, this moment of illumination, there is something about a possibility of incredible intimacy. The type of intimacy that is luscious and real, and there is nothing shallow about it. We are not hiding. We are not putting on a mask or showing a part of ourselves because we've been taught that some part of ourselves doesn't deserve to be seen or isn't good enough. This is intimacy with the reality of all that is in our inner realms, in our intimate relationships, in our relationships with others. And as Venus is at that 29th degree of Scorpio, she is sextiling Pluto, she is trining Neptune, and she is opposite Uranus. She is talking in a beautiful cosmic symphony with all the outer planets. And so there is something awakening, spiritualizing, transforming in our intimate waters during this full moon. All the more reason that we need to slow down. The 29th degree of Scorpio, there is nothing that can kind of bulldoze through that. It needs to be felt. It's so deep that those types of feelings can't necessarily be translated into ordinary language. They can sometimes be translated into art and those aesthetic interventions that kind of can speak in those deep feeling places. But this Venus, she just feels and she transforms. And she is part of how we want to be in relationship right now. Relationship with ourselves, with others, and with life itself. And I would really open up to that relation, intimate with life itself, because she is talking to all the outer planets. And the outer planets are talking to each other. We've been talking about them. There is a big shift and transformation underway for all of us, for the earth, for collective humanity, and absolutely for our individual journeys. And that's where this kind of, there is a final shedding. We're in it. And there's also, of course, something being birthed. And so there's these personal kind of experiences that Mars and Venus are bringing layers into it to work with, especially today on the day of the full moon, whenever you're watching this, especially as we move through this weekend. Also for the full moon, it is really important that the sun is still conjunct Juno, right? And of course, they're opposite that moon, who is conjunct Chiron, and also Aries. So there is, Chiron is here. There's healing. And the sun conjunct Juno, there's something about really showing up with integrity. There's something about, that's why the astrology is not asking for explosive, however this energy is getting talked about, and it's asking for awareness, it's asking for love, it's asking for deep, intimate presence with the complexities of life. It's asking for awakening. And the more that we sit with this and co-create, and we just be present with it, the beauty of the moment opens up. And that kind of closing in, that is the feeling of stress and anxiety, we can get some spaciousness. And so if you have some of that closing in going in right now, and there is so much going on, really leaning in to the self-care and the nurture and what that looks like for you. What it looks like for you going to be different than what it looks like for me, than what it looks like for them, than what it looks like for him. And yet, just this is the piece though. It's about our intuition. It's about what we need. I might really need to sit and have a tea. I might really need to have a bath. I might really need to call someone and just chat for nothing other than to chat, right? So really honoring what you need and not pushing through it, because pushing through during this type of energy, that is when we can get into places we don't necessarily really want to go. And so if we're feeling that pushing through, becoming aware of it, pulling back and seeing what we need. And also, what does the juicy intimacy of life mean to you? Maybe spending a little time with that during the next few days. And this is now approaching not a shortish video, so I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to upload a little more on it. I am sending full moon blessings out to you. Be well.